Please be advised this podcast features AI cloned voices created with human oversight. All content is reviewed by experts for accuracy and relevance. Welcome to IADS Retail Park, where we unpack the real stories behind how department stores adapt, experiment, and sometimes completely rethink how they do business. I'm Maya, and today we're kicking off a special two-part series on Agile methodology, a way of working that's traveled from software teams to shop floors, offering retailers a chance to be a lot more adaptable when the unexpected hits. Retail isn't standing still. These days, teams need to respond quickly to constant changes in consumer habits and technology, and that's where Agile comes in. Instead of following the old rulebook step by step, Agile encourages teams to learn as they go and adjust what they're doing, often in real time. Joining me today is Anchita, who will be asking the questions as we break down what Agile really means for retail and why it's worth understanding whether you're leading a team or working on the ground. Hi, Anchita, it's good to have you here.
Hi Maya, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. Agile is a term that gets a lot of attention, but I think for many in retail it's still a bit of a mystery. I'm hoping we can break down what Agile actually means in the retail world and why it's not just a passing trend. Let's start from the beginning. Agile started in software development, right? But what is it at its core and what does it look like when it's used in retail rather than tech?
That's a great place to begin. So, Agile as a methodology is really about three things: iterative development, collaboration, and the ability to respond to change. Imagine you're managing a project not as one static process, but as a series of small focused phases called sprints. After each sprint, the team checks in, reflects, and makes adjustments if needed. This approach is the opposite of the old linear models, where you mapped out a plan and stuck to it, even if the market or customer needs shifted. Retailers who use Agile are adopting this mindset not just for IT, but across product development, marketing, inventory management, and even customer service. It's a framework for innovation, really. Instead of big, risky rollouts, you're constantly refining what you do based on real feedback and changing conditions.
That helps paint a picture. It makes sense why retailers who deal with everything from supply chain shocks to sudden shifts in what customers want would see value in working this way. I know Agile has its own values and principles that guide how teams operate. Can you talk us through what those are specifically in a retail context?
Sure, the backbone of Agile is its four core values. In retail, these play out a bit differently than in tech, but the heart of it is the same. First, there's a focus on people and teamwork over fixed processes. Teams are empowered to collaborate rather than just following orders from above. Second, working strategies are prioritized over exhaustive documentation. The point is to do what works, not to create piles of paperwork. Third, customer collaboration comes before contract negotiations or internal politics. The customer's needs guide the project, and that's where energy goes. And finally, the ability to respond to change is valued above sticking to a rigid plan. This is probably the most relevant part for retail right now, given how often market conditions shift. From these four values stem 12 guiding principles. They include making sure the customer stays at the center, delivering value often, breaking down silos so teams can collaborate more easily, and reflecting regularly to keep getting better. Each principle is like a branch growing from the roots of those values.
I like that tree analogy. It's a powerful image for how something structured can still be flexible. So, when you put these values and principles into practice in retail, what are some of the real changes that happen on the ground?
One of the biggest shifts is that decision making gets faster and more data driven. After each sprint, teams take a step back and look at what worked and what didn't, and then they tweak their approach for the next cycle. This makes it possible to manage projects in smaller, more manageable chunks, whether you're launching a new product, rolling out a service, or responding to supply issues. You end up with a kind of continuous loop. Try something, reflect, adapt, and move forward. It's a contrast to waiting for a project to finish before reviewing, which often just means learning after the fact.
That lines up with what we're seeing in the industry. Much more need for speed and adaptability. I've read that the pandemic really accelerated this trend. Is that what you've observed too?
Yes, I did actually, Anjita. The pandemic forced retailers to reassess the way they worked almost overnight. The ones who already had agile practices in place, who were used to reassessing and adjusting quickly, managed the chaos more effectively. Take Walmart, for example. By introducing agile into their supply chain management, they were able to make rapid, real time adjustments when demand shifted sharply or supply was threatened. And it's not just the supply chain. Retailers had to pivot to new digital models, set up curbside pickup, overhaul online experiences all at speed. Those who could iterate and respond quickly came out ahead.
Case studies can really bring this to life. Are there specific companies, maybe outside the US as well, where Agile has made a clear difference?
Breuninger in Germany made a big leap by moving their entire operation toward being a digital multi channel retailer. Their online sales now make up about 50% of their overall revenue. And a lot of that growth was possible because Agile helped the teams adapt quickly when the market shifted. Then you have Macy's in the US, which used Agile in their first 50 stores initiative, testing strategies and making changes based on live feedback, leading to improvements in both sales and customer service. H&M adopted a hybrid agile approach by mixing agile practices with their established workflows. This cross-functional way of working has allowed them to prototype and roll out new in-store tech faster, like interactive mirrors and personalized shopping tools.
It seems like Agile isn't just a way to manage projects, it's becoming a tool for entire business transformation. But I imagine it's a big cultural shift, right? What changes for employees and teams when a retailer takes this on?
Culture is a key piece. When an organization adopts Agile, it's not just about changing some processes or having a few stand up meetings. It's about promoting more autonomy for teams and more collaboration across departments. People are trusted with more decisions and are expected to share feedback openly, which can be new for a lot of retail organizations used to top down leadership. The outcome is a workplace where individuals are more accountable and often more engaged. People get a sense of ownership over their work, and there's more focus on learning and constant improvement. At the same time, you do have to bridge differences between generations. Younger staff might thrive on the flexibility and sense of purpose Agile offers, while more experienced employees may need time to adapt but bring a lot of valuable context and experience to the table.
I can see how that could be both challenging and rewarding. Are there common pitfalls when rolling out Agile, especially in retail?
For sure. A common issue is slipping back into old habits, especially if the pressure is on or if leadership isn't bought in. It's easy to revert to. We've always done it this way, even after an initial push. Successful transitions usually start small, maybe with a pilot team or a specific project. This way, teams have space to experiment, learn, and show results before you try to scale up. Another challenge relates to the mindset shift required. People need to get comfortable with uncertainty and with the idea that it's okay not to have all the answers up front. Leadership needs to keep reinforcing the value of iteration and learning as you go.
For retailers who are listening and want to get started without overhauling their entire organization, what kind of advice would you give them?
My advice would be start focused and don't overcomplicate things. Pick an area where you can get quick feedback like a digital product update, a campaign, or a new service. Set up a cross functional team, encourage open discussion, and treat each round as a learning opportunity. The point isn't to be perfect at the outset, but to build confidence and skills as you go. Over time, these habits help shift the wider culture.
That's a very reasonable approach. As we wrap up today, what's the big picture you'd like listeners to leave with about Agile and retail?
I'd say the biggest lesson here is that agility isn't a nice to have anymore, it's essential. Retail is changing quickly, and the ability to adapt, experiment, and learn fast is what's going to set successful companies apart. Agile provides a structure for that. And most importantly, you don't have to do it all at once. Small steps done thoughtfully can start to shift an entire organization over time.
Thanks, Maya. That's a great summary. For those tuning in, don't miss part 2 of our Agile series. We'll get into more detail about how to actually put these ideas into practice, share more case studies, and answer some listener questions. Before we sign off, I want to mention that if you'd like to know more about everything we've discussed today, you can read the full exclusive article Embracing Agile at IADS, Exclusive Insights on Substack. You can find the link in the episode description.
That's right. The full write up goes into even more detail, including additional case studies, core principles, and practical advice straight from the retail front lines. It's definitely worth a look if you want background, context, or more examples of Agile in action.
Thanks again for joining us today. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss the second part of our Agile series, and be sure to check out the episode notes for the Substack link to IADS exclusive insights.
Thanks, Anshita. And thanks to all our listeners. See you next time on the IADS Retail Park.